Welcome back to my channel, Crafting with Nordy. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make this bill organizing budget planner book. The outside cover is dollar store contact paper. The inside is lined with patterned cardstock. We do have cash envelopes here, about 8 of them in here, but I think you can fit about 10, and we made those out of patterned cardstock as well, and Coil bound them also. We do have a little spot for a pin here, and I put in about a 1/4 inch elastic to hold that in place, and a columnar pad or notepad of your choice. This one I made myself, and it's got a little pocket here to hold the back chipboard in place, so it is removable, so you can replace that notebook or columnar pad if you like. Now the inside, we put in 2 eyelets for the elastic, so you don't see it really in the inside when you open it up, and the outside, that's the nicer part. You can add a magnet to close this if you like. Just keep in mind it would have to go under your inside cover on this 1.5 inch flap, and then on the outside underneath the contact paper on your right, the chipboard on the right side, so that way when it closes over it would close like that. But we just went ahead and used some elastic. Okay, so you do have some other options right there. So if you're ready, let's get into it. Okay, so to get started, you are going to need to take your contact paper and you need to cut 15 by 8 inches. Okay, now it's got measurements on the inside, so that's great. That's super helpful. Now this is just dollar store contact paper. You can use any contact paper. I know there's vinyl contact paper, which is a little bit, a little bit more stretchy. It's a little bit more sticky. This is just the dollar store one. It's been holding up just fine. I tossed this thing to kids and everything to just to try to see how it was gonna hold up, and so far it's held up just fine. Okay, so that's for the cover, a 15 by 8 inch piece of contact paper. And then for the chipboard, I'm just using this medium weight chipboard that I got off of Amazon, and I'll leave the links of everything I use in the description below. And for your chipboard, you're going to need, and this was my prototype right here, so we're just going to be using that for reference. So for the chipboard, you're going to need 2 5 by 7 inch pieces, and 2 1 inch by 7 inch pieces, and 1 1.5 by 7 inch piece. Okay, now make sure that when you cut this cardstock that you try to do it cleanly. Okay, if you're going to be using your cutting board where you slide that little cutter across, it may not give you the cleanest cut. Now to cut my chipboard, I went ahead and used, I don't remember what you call them, but it's for cutting fabric. So I went ahead and just used this, and then I used a ruler or one of your fabric rulers. I don't even know what these are called, but anyways, I just used one of these and then just cut along where I needed it. And that contact paper, it's helpful with that as well because all the lines are already on there. So remember, 2 5 by 7 pieces, 2 1 by 7 pieces, and 1 1.5 by 7 piece of cardstock. Okay, so the reason you want it to be smooth cuts is because it will show through on this contact paper. So I don't know if you can see that right there. I didn't get a clean cut on that chipboard, so you can kind of see it come through a little bit. Okay, so that's just something to think about. Now the cardstock that I'm going to be using for the envelopes and the inside is really pretty. Okay, and that is from DCWV, and it's English Garden, and I believe you can get this one at JoAnns right now. Now for the original book, the inside cover is the Paper Lane cardstock, and it's Park Lane, I'm sorry. The Park Lane cardstock, precision cardstock, and it's the solid core. Now the reason why I like solid core is because when you cut into it, you don't see any white edging and it just blends really well. And I didn't have any more of the black, so I went ahead and I used pattern cardstock for the inside. Now remember, if you're using, most pattern cardstock is going to be a white core because it's being printed on white, you know, whether it be both sides or not. And so you see a little bit of that white core peeking through, but it's not a big deal. It still looks really nice, okay? So just something to keep in mind there. I do like this Park Lane cardstock though, because it does have texture. And so it just, to me, it fits like a book really well, okay? So now that we got our contact paper cut out, we're gonna go ahead and start assembling this. Now some contact paper is a lot stronger. There's that vinyl contact paper. I think I got some from Target or something like that. And it's thicker, it's a little bit more stretchy. You can pull it a little bit more. And yeah, it's more stickier too. But this one's been working okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go with this one. And remember, we want a 1/2 inch border all the way around. So you just wanna bring it in a 1/2 inch from the side. Just kinda eyeball it the best you can. Use this to hold this in place. And I can see my dots where my 1/2 inches are, top and bottom too. So I'm just getting an idea. And I'll start there. It may not be perfect. Don't worry about it. Just as long as you're lining everything up with each other, that's fine. And the spine pieces, we want them about an 1/8 inch of spacing, okay? And get this down. Just do your best. So as you can see, it's not perfect. Whatever, it's fine. I don't think I did any of them really straight. I keep saying I'm eyeballing. My eyeballs are all, I should probably put my glasses on. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'll just go ahead and press those down. And I'm just using my Cricut roller to do that. And then go ahead and grab some scissors. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut out like a little V notch where all these little spaces are. And then we're gonna cut out just kind of like, what is this? We'll cut out a little angle here and a little angle here and leave about an 1/8 inch of space from the corner from where you're cutting, okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. Just the best that you can get it. You know, something like that. And then we're gonna put the sides in, both sides in first, and then the top and the bottom. And you can pull that a little bit. And if you feel like it's not coming in tight, just push on it, okay? Just to kind of slide it over. And you can even add some tape onto this if you want to make it a little bit more secure. You can do that if you don't feel like this is sticky enough for you. Okay, so that's the first part. So the next part, we're gonna cut our cardstock. So for inside cover right here, it's going to be 4 7/8 by 6 3/4. This one is going to be 3 by 6 3/4. And this one will be 5 by 6 3/4 for in cover. And then this one will be 2 by 6 3/4. And this one will be 1 1/4 by 6 3/4. Okay. All right, so we'll get that cut out and then I'll be right back. So what I'm doing is I'm just gonna map out my cuts so that I get the most out of my paper. Okay, and this is your waist. So, I don't know, just taking a little bit of time to do that, I think is a little bit more helpful instead of trying to guess and get all your sizes and hope it's gonna work. Okay, so once you got these all cut out and you got your tape all on the back, okay, you wanna take those 2 big pieces, okay, and your, where'd it go? 1 1/4 inch piece, and your 3 inch piece, and your 2 inch piece, set those aside for now. And make sure you press that tape down really good first. Now this first paper, you can line it up just with your chipboard here. Just pay attention to your top and bottom because we measured that out, so that should give us our 1/4 inch on the edge over here. So you can just line it up with that first one right here on the edge. Just try to even it out with your top and bottom. Okay, so far so good. I think it's coming along nicely and I really like this paper. Okay, this one we're just gonna try to center it, but we're not taping it just yet, okay? We're just getting an idea of where it's going to go. So just line it up at the top there. Just get it centered as best you can. And I'm going to bring it down a little bit just so I could see where I need to score it. So you could see those little, I don't know if you could see the little score lines in there, but you can see them come through on the back. And so I want to come down maybe about 1.5 inches. And I'm going to mark that. I'm going to use a pen then. Excuse the little one. So I'm going to be within here somewhere. And I could see my score lines are right here. Okay, so I'm going to make my notches in between that. Okay. So this is my score line right here. I want to come down about this far. So I'll probably do about 1/4 inch in from that edge. And that's where I'm going to cut it with the X-Acto knife. And you're not just cutting slits. You're going to cut out a tiny little rectangle. Okay. Let's see if that's going to fit. Just pull it through carefully. You don't want to tear anything. Guess I should take off the tape first. Okay. And taking off the tape first is going to help because you can see that score line. Okay, so we don't want our elastic going past those score marks that we made because it'll fall in this area, this space here, and it will show through. So as you can see, like right here, that's where the elastic kind of came over and it got caught in between there, and you can see it. So that's just something to be mindful of. And just get to where I need to with it and push that down, okay? I'm gonna take off all my tape. Just pull it through carefully. Okay, and the same thing, trim it if you need to, but you just don't want it to. And you can put your pin in to hold it already so you know how much you can pull it, like how much tension you actually have. So that way it's not too tight. So I got the pin in there now. It's holding it fine. So I think I can trim this just slightly and then set it down, push it down in those spots. And the tape's gonna hold that there, okay? And then next you're gonna go ahead and get your glue and just put a little bit of glue on there. And that's it. And then we're gonna do this side first. This side. I'll line up that score mark and my height up there. You can see it. I just want to make sure that the elastic is going to land on my chipboard, just because I don't want it going into that little area. And just press that down really good with your scoring bone. Pay attention to the edges and in between that elastic. Okay. Okay, so now we have our pen holder. Yeah, go ahead and let this dry. And then we're gonna move on to making the envelopes now. So now to make our envelopes, they're gonna look like this, okay? We are going to cut down at 7 3/4. And then we're gonna turn clockwise here, counterclockwise, and cut at 7. And then we are going to go to 3 1/2, just slide down to 3 1/2 and score. Okay, then turn counterclockwise, sideways there. And then we are going to score at 7 1/4. And then completely turn it again to the other side. So now you have that score on the left side. And you're gonna go back to 7 1/4 and score your right side. Okay. Now we're gonna fold in half on that score line. And then fold in on those side score lines as well. Okay, open that up. And then this center score line here, you're just gonna cut out this little notch. Basically just cutting out that little score line right there. But don't go past this score line. Okay. Now we're going to take our tape. And just do your best to line up the corners and edges. Push that tape down really well. Okay, and I'm going to take a little notch out using this really big hole punch. I'm not sure what size that is.
1 inch.
About a 1-inch circle. Okay, I'm going to try and find my center as best I can. I'm just eyeballing this. And I'm going to go up about use about 1/3 of that circle. Okay, and we get a little notch like that. I'm not completely centered, but that's okay. We got a couple of them here also. pretty close on all of them. I can fix those later. Okay, so once you're done making the amount of envelopes that you need, we're gonna go ahead and move on. Okay, so now, before we start coil binding, what we need to do is we need to get our final piece, the one that's gonna come over here, okay? And we need to score that down the middle. So it's a 2-inch piece, so just score it right at 1 inch. And it's kind of hard because I got that tape behind it, and so it wants to move a little bit on me. But just do your best. Okay. And then what we want to do is go about a 1/2 inch from there and score again. Just a light score, it doesn't need to be crazy. And this is just to guide us. Okay. Okay, so that middle score, we're gonna fold on that. Okay. Okay. And then the outer 2 scores, we're gonna fold opposite. Okay. Okay. So then the middle one goes up, and then these ones, I don't know, maybe for you guys it's backwards. Let's turn it that way. So there's our center score. We fold it down, and then the other scores we fold it up like that. So that's what we want. And that's just so that we give spacing for the coil when we hide it in here. If you've seen any of my coil binding videos where I hide the coil, it's just to kind of give us an idea of how much space we're gonna have once we get that coil in there. And it looks like we'll have enough. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're gonna coil bind this piece, and then we will coil bind the rest of the all the envelopes that we've done. Okay. Okay, so now that we have our piece scored, we can see where we need to make our score marks. And I already have this set, but I'm just gonna recheck it because I want a little bit of space from end to end. Because I don't want to get too close and then like take a notch out here, or I have a huge gap over here or something like that. So I'm just trying to get it balanced. I think that's going to be good, and then I'll adjust that. Okay, now I'm just going to check the rest of them. Make sure that's still going to be pretty good, because these are measuring the same size practically, so they should all hit pretty good. And this is a really small piece, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get another piece to kind of just slide it in. Okay, so because this piece is so small and I can't push it all the way up in there, I'm going to stick it over this piece right here and then just use that. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use this painter's tape and not all the way on it, just enough. Hopefully, I don't want these corners to catch. want them to get stuck under there. Okay. And then we're just going to push that all the way and make sure this is set to punching. Okay. There we go. That painter's tape off. And we got that punched. Okay. Next we'll just hole punch the rest of our envelopes. Okay, so you got your stack of envelopes here, and just remember the ones that you want first, they're gonna go on the top, and then you're gonna flip it over like that. Okay, so we're working backwards. And now we're gonna take that piece and we're gonna fold it inside, inside out, like that. And that's just to see where we wanna see those back holes, okay? Those bottom holes. So we're only going to go through these bottom holes here. Okay, and this is the coil. Now the square parts are what's going to go on these hooks right here. Okay, remember we're going to go through these bottom holes only. Okay, so we're not going through this top row of holes just yet, okay? So go ahead and start putting on all your envelopes. Taking and flipping. Remember, we're working backwards. Which doesn't really matter for these ones, but if you were doing a book, you would be, it would matter. Okay, so those are all on there now. Now this might be a little bit hard right here to try to get these through all those little holes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut off, I'm just using wire cutters. I'm gonna cut off that coil that I don't need. Now I can fold these over and get those coming through that last set of holes. And just be gentle with your coil, you don't want to bend it. Okay. Making sure they're through all those holes pretty good. Then we're gonna flip it over, and now we got those flat pieces on the top, okay? I actually shouldn't have even put tape in this middle section here. I didn't need it. Okay, so don't take the tape off on the edges just yet because you don't want it to stick to the top and bottom in here. And those square ends, they were on the back, now we flipped it over, and those are on the top. So they go on the top when you go to cinch. And now it's closed. Okay? So now that we got that all coiled, we're gonna get our book back, and we could take off all this tape now. You got any tape hanging over, just tuck that back under to the sticky side. Okay, so I want it to go this way. Okay. And what we want to do is where we scored it, and we're just going to kind of line it up there. To that opening in there. So we got this little 1/8 inch opening, and that's where we're lining our scores up to the best we can. Now we didn't need to add tape in the center of that piece of cardstock because that's where the coil is going to go, so it didn't really need to go there, but it doesn't seem to be affecting anything, so it's fine. So next time for that last piece, you only need tape on the top, bottom, and the sides. That center part, you don't need it. Okay, so, and I'm gonna just do my best to re-punch my holes here. I'm gonna recenter it and then try to get all my holes, my little cutouts here exact, but we'll go back to that later. Okay, so the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna put two eyelets in. One's gonna be around here and here, and that's gonna be for our elastic band. And I just really need it to be twice the length of the book, I think is gonna be enough. Tape stuck to me. Okay. And I'm just using, it's from Creatology, thick elastic cord, and I think you can get this one at Michael's. Okay, so now we got our cord, and we just did that twice the length of our book here, okay? And now I want to get 2 eyelets. And I got this kit on Amazon, and it comes with, where is it at? This. And you use this to make the holes. So you'd line it wherever you wanted to, and then you'd, you know, make your holes with that. And then this is for when you're actually closing the eyelet. Now I think, I'm not sure which, I mean, I might just go with the black again. I think that's fine. So I'll need 2 of those, 2 of these, okay? Okay, now from the outside, and I'm gonna start from the outside here. Now normally you would use this and hammer it to make your holes, but I feel like it kind of damages certain things sometimes. And so what I'm gonna use is this pointing tool. It's pointy. It's for when you're bookbinding and you poke the holes and then you stitch the book up. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that. And I think where I wanna go, and I'm just using my board here to kind of measure out where I wanna go. So I think I'm gonna try and go about quarter to a half inch from the edge here, and about a half inch from that fold, okay? Just eyeballing it, doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Now with that same tool, I'm gonna go back in that hole and I'm gonna just keep, and I'm doing this from the outside in, okay? Just get it big enough for that eyelet to fit in there. That's good. Okay. Now I'm gonna do the other side. Find my hole. I gotta go up like all the way up to here. And that chipboard is thick. Okay. So as you can see, it's pushed all that out around that eyelet. So what you want to do is to get rid of some of that buildup now. Just use your X-Acto knife, okay? Just cut whatever's pushed up off. Okay. Now we're going to take those little metal pieces that came in our kit, place those over the eyelet, and then we're going to take this little piece, stick it underneath through the hole, and then we're going to take that other piece, I don't know what any of these are called, and then you just want to hammer that down about 3 or 4 times. Now it's good to have a piece of wood under you, which I'm going to do. Okay, they're not moving, so they're in there pretty good. Okay, so now you're going to take your elastic and you're just going to feed it through the back, both ends. And just tie that in a knot. Just like that. Okay, and now all our little scores here where our book bends, we can start working those out now. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make this pocket here for our column pad or notepad to go into, okay? And let's see. Now this is just a 6-inch piece that's scored about a 1/2 inch on each side so that it folds over, okay? And we're just gonna tape on those folds and place that in there like this. And you can place this however far down that you want. Let me just make sure that's going to fit my... Too far. There we go. Holds it in there pretty good. And then you can get a pen or pencil. I would recommend a pencil. There we go. And that's it. And that elastic holds really well. So that was enough length. It's not too tight, it's just tight enough. So I hope you really like this video. I hope you go out and make one. I think this is super useful. It's very helpful. I was able to fit 8 envelopes. I thought maybe you can do more than 8, But with this cardstock, I think 8's just enough with this coil, because when I need it to get it over that second row of holes, it was a lot harder to fold over, and I think 10 might be a bit much. So I think 8 is pretty good. If you need more than 8 pockets, if you look inside here, you can see this little tab that comes in on both ends. You can actually cut a piece of cardstock about this length that's in here and just tape it to that, and then you have a divider in there, and so then you'll have 2 pockets. So then that'll give you, you know, a little extra pockets for if you have any extra, more than 8 bills that you need to go through. I think these were really cool, and they look really nice, and they're perfect, I think, for just that person who's getting out on their own, you know, that young adult that's just getting out on their own and they need to manage their bills. It'd be a good gift for them. And even if, you know, even for yourself, you know, just to help you, you know, keep everything manageable and organized and whatnot. And it fits in your purse. It's small. It's only 5 by 7. So it's nothing that's taking up too much space. It looks nice on the desk. It stands up really well. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for supporting this channel. That's it for today. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Have a good one.